Welcome back to Cinema Corner. I'm Blake, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Alex and Josh.
And today we're reviewing Gladiator 2, directed by, once again, Ridley Scott, who comes back after 24 years. And real quick, I'm just give my quick thoughts right off the bat. I rewatched the first Gladiator literally the night before, and I'll just say this: the action sequences in Gladiator 2 were leaps and bounds better than the first Gladiator. However, the emotional thread that is in the first Gladiator is untouchable compared to this sequel here. So, with that, I'll hand it off to you guys.
Blake, your thoughts?
Yeah, so obviously, this movie starts out. We see our boy. I don't even remember his name, to be honest
Lucius.
with you. We see him. Yeah, we see Lucius. That's his name. No, I don't. Well, we did before we knew he was Lucius.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hana. That's what it is. Something like that. We see him fighting with the love of his life, allegedly. Who knows? Because we had roughly 2 minutes of them together before she dies, and I'm supposed to care for some reason. Don't know how that works. We see them defending. Obviously, Pedro, Pascal, and the Romans show up, kill a bunch of people. And, Hana's real upset because his wife just died. Which is a real great slow-mo black and white scene of her dying that totally wasn't like, I don't care, please don't come back to this again. And then we see Hana go through kind of the whatever you want to call it, I didn't even fully understand why he went to like a gladiator. Well, yeah, because he wasn't a slave in a way, because he went straight to like a gladiator kind of mini gladiator training thing. Which I didn't really understand why he went there instead of the Romans. Didn't really explain why Denzel's character got those slaves and they didn't go straight to like Rome area, whatever.
I think you mentioned that prisoners of war, they have like an agreement that they would provide him with prisoners of war, and then from there he can choose whether he keeps them or not.
Yeah, he talked about that. That was like his influence.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
It's a very small detail.
Yeah, shocker. And then, he kind of proves that he's a fighter, bites a monkey. They all make fun of him for that. I mean, to be honest, it's a lot of the first movie. There's really no point going through the whole thing. It's a lot of the similar plot of the first movie. Some scenes even feel like they were taken almost directly from the first movie. But it just lacks all of the heart that the first one had. As like I said, I didn't care about any of the characters who died in this movie at any point. So yeah, like you said, the action was definitely really good. But the heart of this movie and the plot was just nothing to be interested in at all.
Now, Blake, why was the heart not in it? Because there's something that you had a referee for us and look up.
Yeah, so as soon as we walked out of it, obviously I was like, well, it definitely was no Wicked. That's to be clear, Wicked review coming soon. But the movie as a sequel is unbelievably horrible, and I just think everybody needs to understand that it completely, if you're trying to take it as a sequel, it completely diminishes the first movie, because some of the key plot points of this make no sense. Mainly, Lucius being Maximus' son is so stupid, it takes away from the heart of the first movie if you were to actually take it as a sequel, along with it making it makes no sense, because in the first one, Maximus's whole thing is he wants to get back to his wife and his kid. They ask him like, oh, how long have you been at war? He's like, 2 years, 264 days, blah, blah, but who's counting? Being away from his wife and his kid. That's all he wants in life. They make a mention that Lucius in the first one is the same age as his actual son. And then this one says like, oh yeah, Lucius is Maximus' son. So it's like, oh, so the whole point of the first one is Maximus cares to get back to his wife and kid. But the whole point of this one is, oh, he had an affair at the exact same time that he had his kid. What are we doing? So Maximus' whole point in the first one is he wants to avenge his wife and son because that's all he cares about. He doesn't care about dying. He wants to get reunited with them again. But he was having an affair at the exact same time. You easily could have done this movie. We saw in the first one, Lucius and Maximus had a relationship of like friendliness, and he cared for Lucius. You could have easily still had Lucius would still be the Prince of Rome if his mom stayed the same character. He was just influenced by Maximus to want to do what his grandfather's dream was. He could just be influenced. He didn't have to be his son for it to be what it was. All it did is it completely diminished the first one and made this one so stupid that I couldn't care about it because I was just thinking the whole time, why did you just take a phenomenal movie in Gladiator and just completely destroy the heart of it if you take this as a sequel? As a standalone movie, Gladiator 2 is okay. It's nothing special, but it's okay. As a sequel, I think it's unbelievably horrible. It's so lazy writing. I think the acting overall in it wasn't anything phenomenal by anybody. Denzel, you could tell, was having fun, but at no point did I feel Denzel was like a Roman character. He kind of just felt like an unhinged Denzel Washington character. The mom, I don't even remember her name.
Lucilla?
She took me
Lucilla.
out of the Roman times completely. She looked nothing like a Roman lady at all with all her Botox and filler. I was like, okay, well, she looks like a modern human. So, as a standalone movie, it was okay. As a sequel, I think it was unbelievably horrible. And all they did was diminish the first one because, like I said, he didn't have to be Maximus' son. That added nothing but diminishing the first one. He could just be influenced by Maximus. His dad can be whoever it was. His mom, he's still the Prince of Rome. That still follows the storyline. If his mom is still Lucilla or whatever her name is. But they're just like, let's just force this in here. And it was just so stupid. And it took me out of the movie.
It's a classic Ridley Scott movie in this era. That it is basically he has some just unhinged detail that he adds for no reason that just totally derails anything that he was trying to go through for the movie. And then you're left wondering, did I even like what I just saw? And also, just like Napoleon, there's plenty of just historical details that's like, dude, why? Why even add that into the movie? Even from smallest things too, like, Denzel's character said plenty of things. Few of them, like, just hose him down. Any language that he uses, there's plenty of times it's like, dude, you're just not even trying. And it's just, it relies on the action scenes, which that's what carries you throughout the film. They were decent. But otherwise, yeah, the story was rough and brutal, especially because of that, leaving us questioning after the film and then confirming, yeah, that just makes no sense. And then being even bold with the ages too and giving you flashbacks and just kind of confirm, like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. It hurts the first one. I think the biggest thing from this movie is that the twins weren't bad. They were solid and unhinged, and I enjoyed them. So, I think it's kind of wild that going into this film, I thought Joseph Quinn was going to annoy the fuck out of me, and he didn't. I thought he actually did a pretty good job. So, and I thought everybody else I was going to be cool with, and it's kind of I got enough Pedro Pascal to not be annoyed. So that was another good job for the movie. He wasn't.
I thought his character arc was where they were setting him up to be kind of like this dickhead general, but then when you find out that he's actually with Lucilla and he's not trying to, all he wants to do is just stop all this nonsense that these two emperors have been wanting him to consistently do over and over and over again. So once you get that and the conflict with him and Lucius, but Lucius doesn't know, he just wants to kill him. So that's probably the only part where I'm like, okay, there's something interesting here. Yeah. But then once they kill him off, and then it just becomes this Lucius Maximus thing. It's like, well, cool fights, I guess. So that's about it.
Yeah, the film really drops off after that scene of Pedro Pascal's character dying. The story, anything that you care about, it really falls off because then it fully goes more into Maximus being the dad, and then you're supposed to care about that. And that's just, no. I mean, there's so many elements in this movie that could have had a cool storyline. I mean, you're literally having a son of Rome storyline of him trying to rise back to power. It's pretty cool, but the Maximus element just ruins it, as well as then having him try to go after a general that ends up being just as compassionate as him. It's kind of a fun storyline, but just the overall arc of it being Maximus' kid, it just kills it. It really does. Had potential.
It's also just a lot of scenes that I just thought were so stupid that I'm like, what are we even doing with that? Like, the way that Pedro Pascal's character was killed, that all these archers just perfectly shoot all around
I know.
Hana and miss him and hit Pedro Pascal like a million times. It's like, oh, so all these archers are just the greatest shots of all time? That's crazy. I just don't believe that at all. I'm like, they are way too far away to hit this. Literally shooting directly behind him, arrows just going past him, hitting. And I'm just like, okay, that kind of was just dumb because there's no way any of these archers are hitting the shot that accurate. And then later in the movie, they're all suck. Denzel killing his mom. Again, I was just like, the arrow hit her. I was like, am I supposed to care about this? Am I supposed to care that all of a sudden they like reconciled and he wants his mother and he cares about her all like out of nowhere? Because that had no time to breathe, that those two were like making up for their fighting, and then she dies. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be sad right now that she's dead? Like, oh no. Wow, they were so close for 2 seconds. Like, horrible writing again. There was no heart in this movie whatsoever. It was just so many things they just try to force in there to be like, oh man, isn't this sad? And it's like, no, it's not sad. You gave it no time.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe the writer of Napoleon also wrote this movie. So maybe Ridley Scott isn't the whole problem. I think the writer just
no, he's a problem. Ridley Scott's washed. I mean, he's so washed. When was the last good movie that he put out? Like full on good movie he put on? Is it Gladiator? That's all I'm saying.
That's a good question. I don't even.
If it's Gladiator, that's what 24 years ago. You're washed, buddy. Like all your movies are just. The only reason they're okay is because of the action scene. Like this movie, if you take about how good the action was, it was horrible because it still wasn't even that good with the action scenes. So he's washed.
It would actually be
The Martian
somehow. Yes. So 2015. It's been a hot minute.
Right,
and then, but in the 20s, in the 2020s, and on, it's been really bad. Yeah, the last duel. I think he also did was it the House of Yushi's Heat? Also, yeah, he did that. Remember how fucking bad that is? Yeah.
Yeah, him and Aaron Rodgers, bro. Wash, buddy. You're done.
Exactly. Yeah, learn how to retire.
Legit. Walk away. But it had a lot of big name actors in it, so it had big name actors and it had decent action, so people are gonna say that it was good enough that people won't completely hate on it. So that's really, as a standalone movie, it was okay. As a sequel, it was awful. You just diminished one of the best movies because you just tried to cram stuff in there to try to have heart, and it didn't work at all.
Yeah. So, ratings?
I don't even know what to give it. Honestly, there's no back shots of somebody's wife in a dress like Napoleon, so that really drops down the rating for me. I'm going to say this movie was like a 6 out of 10. It had good action. But other than that, it wasn't anything special.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 6.5.
Oh, you guys are a lot generous than me. My rating dropped. I think I learned my rating when people were asking me what I thought about it, and I realized quickly I could not recommend this movie. So I can't give a movie I can't recommend above a 5. So this is a 4.8 for me because it's good enough to not hate what you saw, but I would never see it again.
So
yeah,
mid.
Below, a little bit below mid.
A little bit below mid. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for our Gladiator 2 review. As always, let us know in the comments down below what your thoughts are. If you agree with us, if you disagree with us, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.